to become a developed nation by the year 2047, making 100 years of Indian independence. And the theme for today's panel discussion is Vision India 2047, integrating science, innovation, and youth empowerment. And we have esteemed uh, moderator for today's panel, Mr. Ramesh Immadi, co-founder, CTO at Quantana and Service Delivery Consultant at Plural Technology. He is a graduate of IIIT MS in Information Technology and JNTU, BTech from JNTU. And he begins his career in 2012 as intern at Mutual Mobile. And he is a technology leader, entrepreneur, and innovator with over a decade experience in building scalable digital solutions. Currently serving as co-founder and CTO at Quantana and Service Delivery Consultant at Plural Technology. He has successfully transformed technical expertise into impactful business innovation. We welcome you all. We welcome you, sir, for the panel discussion. And today's panel members. I warmly welcome Professor Purushottam Reddy, environmentalist and former professor of Usmania University, for today's panel. Professor K. Purushottam Reddy is our environmental activism, founded Citizens Against Pollution in 1985 and led several landmark campaigns against industrial pollution, environmentally harmful projects, and ecological degradation. He played a key role in movements for environmental justice, sustainable development, water resource management, and the protection of natural ecosystems. Professor Reddy also served as the president of the Usmania University Teachers Association and a prolific scholar. He has published over 80 research papers, co-authored the book Environmental Education, and co-edited the State of Environment in Andhra Pradesh at Citizens Report. And the next panel member is Brigadier Pogula Ganesham, founder of Palle Srujana, which is a voluntary organization. He is a distinguished Indian Army veteran, grassroots innovator, and a rural development champion, born in Boomalapalli village, Telangana. He holds an engineering degree from Usmania University and MBA from Delhi University. He is renowned for developing Windy, a multi-role weapon platform that became the first patented innovation of the Indian Army and was showcased at the Republic Day parade in 2004. In recognition of his distinguished service, he has awarded the Vishisht Seva Medal, VSM, by the President of India in 2005. And our next member is Professor Sri Sriram Venkatesh sir, Secretary, Telangana State Council of Higher Education. We welcome you, sir. And the next panel member for today's panel discussion is Professor S. Ramulu sir, Dean, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Palamuru University. And the last member for today's panel discussion is Mr. Sunil Savaram, CEO of Plural Technology. He is a technology entrepreneur, industry leader, and expert in digital engineering, enterprise software, and artificial intelligence. He is the founder, managing director, and CEO of Plural Technology Private Limited, which is a global technology company specializing in product lifecycle management, PLM, digital transformation, engineering solutions, and enterprise software services. With nearly 2 decades of leadership experience, Professor Savaram has played a pivotal role in helping organizations adopt advanced technologies including artificial intelligence, digital engineering, manufacturing transformation, digital twin, and product lifecycle management solutions. Beyond his corporate responsibilities, he actively mentors startups, advises innovation ecosystems, and contributes to industry-academia collaboration. Under his leadership, Plural Technology has emerged as a prominent technology solutions provider serving clients across multiple industries worldwide. With this brief introduction, I hand over the stage to Ramesh sir. Sir, please continue, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for the warm introductions. I feel very privileged to be sitting alongside you all, sir. I have interacted with most of the panel before this session. Great things to know, but just a quick check on the knowledge check because Ganesham sir has asked me a very important question. How many of you know the difference between a colonel and a brigadier? Anyone who knows the difference between colonel and a brigadier? Yeah, I also did not know, sir, honestly, but I went and checked up. So a colonel heads a battalion, but a brigadier heads multiple battalions. So is a bit above. Thank you for your time with us, sir, and that insightful question. So I'll quickly start with the most important one, aligning with the session, which is Vision 2047. So from your perspective, what is the single most important initiative that India should prioritize for the next 2 decades? So we'll go around the table, sir. We can start with you, sir. So according to you, what is the one most important thing that we must prioritize in the next 2 decades to be for the Vision 2047?
The very important point, only one point you are asking, next 2 decades, 2047. So that is Vikasit Bharat 2047, the Rising Telangana 2047, aiming to go for globalization of education with multiple skills to the students. Particularly, there should be a paradigm shift from current learning and education system to the experiential learning and more of skill-based learning, so that the students can be employable and more importantly they should become entrepreneurs. So one entrepreneur will change the society. He will provide a lot of jobs to the society or group, peer group. So that employability, entrepreneurial skills must be imparted to the students next 2 decades. Accordingly, we have to change the curriculum to meet these skills and employability and entrepreneurship skills.
Yeah, yes, sir. Again, Council of Higher Education has started several initiatives recently by bringing multidisciplinary curriculums across to impart whatever it is. I know that fantastic work is going on that, sir. Thank you. Sir Purushottam, sir, your point of view, what is that one thing that we should prioritize in the next 2 decades to meet the Vision 2047?
Thank you, sir. What I strongly feel is that we, the people in this country, we fought for freedom, we worked for the Constitution. The making of the Constitution and the working of the Constitution, with all that, in spite of a wonderful written document, this country has gone in the wrong direction. Because, unfortunately, in the Constitution itself, the word development is missing. Nobody defined development. And people thought America is developed, Europe is developed, and therefore let us take their approach. Some others said, no, Russia is developed, let us take the left wing. But nobody realized that India itself was a wonderful model, a model of sustainability. And we should have continued that model. That is, so in my opinion, the first thing and the most important thing that we, the polity of India, including the Prime Minister, the parliamentarians, all the MPs, everybody, we should all come together and discuss, and we should undergo a major paradigm shift. This is very important. Otherwise, this is not development. How can anybody say that India is developing? Come on, let them prove it. Only economic indicators don't indicate anything. Our rivers are contaminated. Our forests are getting destroyed. Himalayas, we have a major problem. Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, Aravallis, or you take any ecosystem in this country, the whole country is crippled. And we still continue with green revolution. What is green in green revolution? We in the universities, we never discussed. It is nothing but hybridization of seeds and chemicalization of agriculture. Should we continue with that? So academicians should be bold enough to review, rethink, and if necessary, definitely it's necessary, we should undergo a major paradigm shift. I'll continue later.
Sure, sir. Sir, your point of view.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much for making me part of this wonderful panel. Yeah, it all depends on what Vikasit means. It is a word subjective, one can think any kind of interpretation. But if it is linked to the constitution, then I think the most important part is equality, which is totally missing today. 65% people at least stay in the informal sector, so-called villages. But I don't think we're really taking care of them, and we look at them as, like we call, adopting a village. Is a village an orphan to adopt? భాష ఎట్లా ఉంటుందో భావం అట్లా ఉంటుంది. How can you adopt a village? Village is an entity created by God and cities are made by humans. We have to take the best out of it. So Vikasit, if it is defined for the betterment of every citizen of this country, then I have an answer. But if Vikasit is only for politicians, corporates, and some academicians and economists for $1 trillion and Vishwagurus, no definition will help. But in my humble understanding, I feel that Swayam Samruddhi is what is required in this country at every level. Swayam Samruddhi is at a village level, at a regional level, at state level, at national level. And this we had. But today we've lost all Swayam Samruddhi and everything is imported into the village. Must reduce the imports. If Swayam Samruddhi is there, you are happier because you eat what you grow. You have a lot of work to do. If you have shram, your health is good. Your aspirations to go out in the village reduce. Employability problems will be, employment problems will be also reduced. So I think Swayam Samruddhi is something, if taken as a national spirit and a goal for Vikasit Bharat 2047, I'm sure things will change. And lastly, in my village till 1974, I'm from Telangana, 3 things used to come from outside. All other were available in the village. One is salt, matchbox, kerosene. The rest were available in the village for survival. But these 3 are required in every house. But today, the water is coming from outside. There's nothing in the village. And we call this development. The definition of development has to change. Then really we do justice. I won't be there in 2047. But I'm sure you will have a better India if Swayam Samruddhi is taken as a basis for next 20 years growth. Thank you.
Sure. Sir Ramlu, sir. Professor Ramlu, please, from your point of view, what we should be focusing on for the next 2 decades.
Morning, all of you, my dear panel members. And I'm very much thankful to you given me the opportunity to interact with my beloved friends. Your question is a very wonderful question. The opening question is. The major important is that, yes, sir is discussing that, there are eminent people taking out from the village. How we will get back to them is one of the important aspects. Second is, quality education is more important. Everybody is talking about the entrepreneurship, how it will become. Quality, the government should take up quality education. When the quality education is there, definitely skill will be enhanced. One more important aspect, the healthy society also very, very important. But today, social problem is there, drugs, other things. Can avoid that the first, do the research and development, skill oriented, definitely entrepreneurship will be increases. Altogether make every person the responsible person to grow up economy, 2047, 30 trillion economy. Otherwise, the very difficulty, that's what quality education with research and development is more and more essential. Definitely, it will be achieved by the 2047 30 trillion economy. Otherwise, questionable. Thank you very much.
Sunil, from your perspective.
Great. First of all, thank you for this opportunity to sit along with distinguished panel members. I know you asked Ramesh single thing, right? It is as if asking what is one thing you will do so that you have very good health, right? This is not one thing usually, but I think we have very good responses about global education, environment, sustainable economic development and research. Me coming from technology background and working with global corporations, I see India today is very much intertwined with global economies, socially and economically, so we cannot discount that. We're talking about Viksit Bharat development. Somehow, okay, we end up, okay, being dependent, okay, how the global economy works. The Indian rupee is falling so rapidly, okay, and coming back to tying it back to universities and, okay, how it plays into it is. I'll give you one example why either the top economies, including US, are so high is the research investments done get translated into real value, okay, into technology products, okay, they become leaders, okay, that's how they're becoming trillion-dollar companies. One way what we can do in India is, okay, today, if you just by statistics, just Stanford University's alone research fund, just only one university's research fund is larger than every single university's research fund today, okay, just a simple comparison. Fund alone means nothing. Okay, our ISRO and we have all proven. Okay, with little fund you can do great things. So I think the outcome should be translating into technology. So focus on that part. Okay, we become leaders. You lead the whole world. Okay, when you have the technology that is developed, we can leverage the indigenous value. We should not really go imitate the West. But India itself, okay, sir mentioned, right, okay, even 1,000 years or 2,000 years ago, we have got a lot of knowledge and wisdom right here. Use the indigenous knowledge, okay, to provide technology that the whole world wants to use.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, from each of your perspectives. We have found that multidisciplinary education, bringing quality education in place, and asking the policy makers to actually sit and analyze whether we are destructing or actually improving. And also from industry perspective, improve on research and development to make sure that it is implemented at the grassroots level. Thank you so much. Now I'll touch upon each panel member in their respective areas. I've tried to put in questions to bring the thought process among yourselves as well. Some of these questions might be for rest of the audience as well, sir. So to start with, I'll start with the sustainability development perspective. Sir, I've understood from my analysis that we are currently scoring around 66 out of 100 in terms of SDG goal scoring. Again, these are just numbers, and around 109th place globally. But most important outcome is that based on the development that we are doing, there is a significant amount of degradation that is happening to environment and other areas, and it might cost us probably 5.7% of our GDP, while we need 7.5 or 8 for the development to meet the 2047 goals. So from your perspective, what is that we need to do to ensure that the rapid technology and economic growth, because of the very highly ambitious targets right now we have, so how do we make sure that the growth remains ecologically sustainable and it enhances social happiness without destruction?
Me? So, thank you, sir. It's a very important question, and actually this now concerns the Government of India, Ministry of Education. They are really worried about this because so far all our universities, I'm not here to belittle the performance of Indian universities. I myself come from a more than 100-year-old university, and I was the president of the University Teachers Association. I know that Osmania contributed immensely to the region of Telangana in the field of human rights, environment, and social justice. These are the three areas where our contribution is immense. But again, that is not adequate. We need to give a direction to the entire country. Unfortunately, there is a mad race among the academics to improve their personal profile rather than the profile of the people. The basic point is the people also, they will come to the university when they have a problem. But university teachers have to go reach out to them. That is not happening. As a result, we have excellent universities, wonderful teachers, research going on, but we are not eager to go to the villages or to the problem area or the tension areas and try to explain, demystify, and energize them, and their energies channelize them into a peaceful struggle for a sustainable future. That's not happening. As a result, there is a growing gap between the rising aspirations of the people and the performance of the universities. We are not there in people's mind. When they have a problem, now they have ceased coming to the university. At one time, they used to flock. We used to have meetings in room number 57, Arts College, for the fluorosis-stricken people of Nalgonda. They would come from Patancheru, from Nacharam. All the affected people would come because they knew that we were responsive. So anyway, just I want to add two more points. One, today's world is at a critical stage. I've been following the deliberations of the UN, particularly the first programs, 1972 Stockholm. And in the same year, there was a wonderful book by the Club of Rome, known as The Limits to Growth. And that particular book highlighted two major limits. One, the limits of natural resources, and second is the increasing cost of pollution. That no developing country has taken that into consideration. Today, we are only projecting one side of their story. The finance minister, when he or she presents the budget in the Lok Sabha, the finance ministry does not mention about the natural resources balance sheet. And we are all living in a fool's paradise. We think we are growing, and the natural resources are coming down. And in addition to that, no doubt we have so many rivers, all that is fine. But what is the quality of water that flows in the river? What have we created? Ganga is in a mess. Musi, you know very well. Right now we can't go, no question of tasting. If we want to commit suicide, we can go and taste Musi water. But otherwise, so the problems are very real. And what is the quality of air we are breathing? Delhi is finished. In all the international reports by WHO, they have classified more than 20 Indian cities as not livable because the air we breathe is nothing but poison. The air quality index is an indication. So I don't think anybody can call it development. And when it comes to political administration, what is the governance? We normally talk about federalism. And when we talk about federalism, the state leadership talks about, continuously demands more and more money from the center. Okay. But when it comes to the state and the local government, the same state government suppresses the local government, denies them their breathing space. India is suffering because the third tier of government, that is urban local governments and rural local governments, are virtually powerless. One last example and I'll stop. We have GHMC. It has been over a period of time, from HMC to GHMC, it has been a big, long time, and tremendous increase in power and finances. Okay. Do you think they have real powers? They can't appoint their own municipal commissioner. Nothing. And in addition to that, they have no control over the quality of water that flows through the taps to the citizens. That is, for that, we have another organization, HMDA, and that works under the state government. So the problem is, we are not being truthful, and we don't have the intention to set right. And none of the Indian political parties are committed to the concept of sustainable development. Today, on this very happy occasion, at least now, we academics are converging, and we want to do something. Let the message go to the government of India and all the political parties and state governments that India must undergo a major transformation, and the focus should be on the sustainable development goals as agreed upon at the Paris conference, at New York, and subsequently in Paris. You know, these goals are transformative. We have to, and now, right now we are in 2026. Another 4 years, the Paris Accord, we are not moving in that direction. Already the global average temperatures have increased by 1.5, and it's the tipping points are there. Anytime the world may lose control, and maybe tomorrow will be very unsafe. We are, with all good intentions, we are planning for 2047. But what will be the world like? I'm talking about the planet Earth in 2047. I request everybody to think, and because that is the crux of the matter. We are talking about the planet Earth. India is on this planet, so planetary crisis has to be taken into consideration. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Can I add one
Yeah,
point?
please, sir.
Yeah. Actually, whenever you discuss something, there are two aspects, macro level and micro level. And in India, these two don't match. So when we talk macro level, it's very easy to prophesize, tell something about it. Government has not done, SDG is not done. But translation of that into the micro level to see the real effect is something not seriously discussed or implemented. Like Reddy Garu brought out, the governance is not very effective. Now, how the sustainability come? It comes when the input is less, output is more. Because consumption reduces. Now tell me something where with the zero input, lot of output comes in city. In formal system, is there anything which comes without input? Or input is less than output? In the villages, in the nature, less input, more output. చించెట్టుకు నీళ్ళు పోస్తారా మీరు 150 ఏళ్ళు చిన్న కాయలు వస్తాయి పూలు వస్తాయి అన్నీ వస్తాయి ఏమైనా చేస్తారా దానికి నో ఇన్పుట్ బట్ కీప్స్ ఆన్ గివింగ్ ఇట్ repetitively, regeneration, uncultivated food, unasked for. The nature gives you so much only in villages, in the nature. Are we really exploiting it? We don't even know between the name of this tree and that tree. We don't have list of uncultivated food in a village. ఎన్నో ఆకులు ఉన్నాయి, ఎన్నో కాయలు ఉన్నాయి, ఎన్నో ఉన్నాయి. మనకు ఆ లిస్ట్ ఆ ఊళ్ళో ఉందని తెలియదు, చెట్లు ఉన్నాయని తెలియదు. ఇవన్నీ మన దేశ సంపదనే కదా, ఇట్స్ అవర్ ప్రాపర్టీ. అండ్ ఇఫ్ యూ డోంట్ కన్సిడర్ ఆల్ దిస్ అక్రాస్ ద కంట్రీ అండ్ థింక్ ఆఫ్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్ GDP by more input, less output, which is technology, I think we are going for a very, not a best means. And I tell you, if you go by use the nature, use the regeneration of the nature, 4 SDGs are automatically covered without funding. SDGs. They don't know what is SDG, but SDG came from the use of nature. So there is so much inbuilt advantages we have. We focus on the nature and the villages, which is missing. I'm sorry to say, yesterday discussion panel, they are not discussed the informal sector at all. They don't discuss academia, industry. If only 20% people are in that, what about the 80% people? What is their future? So my request to the all panelists and the people is that please focus on the informal sector, which is 60-70% of this country in your discussion. Because it's India nahi bola hai, because it's Bharat bola hai. So Bharat means those people also included. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
So I agree with the Purushottam sir and sir. When you come to the sustainable development, it is a very, very important, no doubt at all. But I want one more add. How we will get the sustainable development? A little bit I have the doubt. Because every year, agriculture sir is telling that 6,000 million tons of soil eroding every year. For your inch of soil, the regeneration, what word you use, it will take the 6,000 years. But how sustainable development is possible and ecological balance is possible is definitely the questionable. You should concentrate to sustain our own soil, sustain our ecological development, sustain our environment. Otherwise, development is a myth. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I just want to touch upon on an individual level what we can do, because how many of you know about Swiggy, Instamart, Blinkit, all are instant delivery platforms, right? So yesterday I was making some notes and trying to prepare questions for the panel, and it was around 10 p.m. by the time I arrived at some questions, and I don't have a printer at my home to print it out and bring it. Easier option was Blinkit sends you prints out to home. Then I realized I am asking the question saying that how can we scale by not making any damage, but if I order my printouts on Blinkit at that point of time, it would have costed somebody to all the way travel, put it in a pouch, and then give it to me. I make use of the paper, dispose the pouch, and this guy goes back again driving the same vehicle, and it's a lot of waste. So I thought, okay, 7:30, my nearest printer guy opens up. I can just walk down 2 minutes and then carry it. But if I was not preparing this question, I may have directly ordered it on Blinkit. But friends, please definitely give it one thought, whether am I creating more trash by ordering it for my convenience, etc., whereas it is just 5 minutes of effort. Because the most of the flooding in the cities is happening. Whatever is found is the packaging from Amazon, Flipkart, all the DTC brands that give you convenience. So I think at an individual level, I call it take your trash with you. Wherever it is, it's a chocolate wrapper or a finished tea glass, just make sure you dispose it in the right place so that the next cycle will continue. Thank you so much. So, sir, next I would like to touch upon Brigadier Ganeshan, sir. So, from your perspective, there is a lot of youth in this country, which is estimated to be 45 to 50% of the country is under 25 years of age, and 65% of that youth is in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Whereas if you see 75% of investments, whether with respect to VCs and all, are concentrated in 3 to 4 major cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and most of recently in Hyderabad as well. So, so from your point of view, how can formal universities and engineering labs and policy frameworks systematically document and scale grassroots level rural innovations and moving the knowledge from land to land and village to village?
Thank you for interesting question. Firstly, we have to understand why do you have to do this? Why education or academic institutions have to focus on the grassroots creativity, grassroots knowledge? How does it help? That's very important to understand. I'm sure you have seen some stalls where few grassroots innovators have displayed their ideas. They're most affordable. They're appropriate. They address a pain of a few lakhs of people, if not crores in the village. If there's no pain, they won't address. They don't have surplus time or resources. If that is used, that innovation is used as solution to the pain reduces, happiness is the outcome. Grassroots innovators do not undertake any innovation unless some pain of their fraternity is addressed and happiness increases. That is the beauty. We don't use these words. These intangibles we don't have in our academic institutions. Now, to understand this, you have to be humans, not roles. You should not be a student, you should not be a professor, you should not an engineer, a doctor. You have to be humans. Why should they share with you their knowledge? They'll share only when you get accepted by them. And they'll accept you when they trust you. When do they trust you? When they opine that you have come there with a real intent and real respect in your hearts. Then they trust you, then share with you. Once they share, They will share amazing things which we don't find in books anywhere, but they have been practiced there, developed there over a period of time. They address the problems of millions of people. In a village, something has happened, a small thing. Narasimha Rao is here. He made a solution with a మూలికలతో, with herbs. అది పొల మీద వేస్తే పందులు రావు, జింకలు రావు, వాసన చూసి వెళ్ళిపోతాయి. No, animal is not hurt, the crop is not hurt. What a beautiful way. You can clap for him, please. So we never found solution like that. And that's the kind of solutions require win-win situation, sustainability, and any number of things. I don't know how many people kept your phone in this pocket. Anybody? One boy asked me in the village, sir, why this pocket is here? I said, what's the problem? Sir, ఊళ్ళు అందరు ఫోన్ ఇక్కడ పెట్టుకుంటారు అండ్ గుండెకాయ వెనకనే ఉంటుంది, రేడియేషన్ అయితే ఉంటుంది, మంచిది కాదు కదా సార్ అన్నాడు, 8th class student. We never thought of shifting this pocket here. These things are very small, but they make so much sense. As you go into the grassroots knowledge, they address the daily issues. So these universities and academicians can only pick it up and disseminate, provided they understand the value of it, how they emanate, how to scout it, how to document it, how to disseminate horizontally from land to land, village to village. If this is required to be understood by university academicians, then it's possible. But if they're not prepared to do that, which they're not as of today, they're not designed to do it.
Yeah, so I want to ask one thing. A lot of companies have centers of excellences and industry, IICs and all. Do you think we should have rural centers of excellences in universities?
They're already center of excellences. Don't give a name to them. Okay. Villages for me, center of excellence, I can speak for hours together because, as I mentioned earlier, Palestinian believes, my dear friends, listen carefully, villages are made by God. Cities are made by humans. This is the truth.
Please clap for that.
This is the truth. And keep this in your mind and walk in, you find everything there. But you go there that they don't know anything. I'm going to fill them with my knowledge. We have to give what they want, not what we can. The total thing is different. And once the approach is taught to the student, what the student should be done to do is, they should go humbly to the village with a zero, making themselves zero and walk in and learn the strengths of the village, the harmony of the village with the nature, the surplus of the village, the aspirations of the villagers, unused resource of the villagers, and unutilized and uncultivated food of the village. No survey does this, but it's available in the village. We have to expose our next generation to see the strengths of the village, not the weakness of the village. They go and ask, what is your problem? He will say, pension nahi aa raha hai. So that's not the way. So academicians are not ready. The teachers or the vice chancellors or the entire system today is not ready to understand the village as an entity which is living for ages and live for ages. Unless this respect comes, we cannot promote villages, and we always treat them as a colonial mentality which we have it and is getting deeply entrenched into bureaucracy, which I didn't face it, but today I'm facing it. But last sentence I want to tell you is that 20 years we worked in this grassroots creativity, scouting them, searching them voluntarily. It's an amazing journey, my dear friend. And now I believe totally after working in the system for 50 years, I realized that what I have learned in 50 years is nothing in front of what I've learned in the last 20 years. I'm not joking, my dear friends. So wonderful knowledge we have. And we think villages are nothing, and we start giving what we have. And what are we doing as the economy? We are doing wrong things. So my request to academicians is, please change your attitude towards villages, attitude towards the village resources, nature and people. And after having learned, please tell students what is to be done. Make them make them sensitive to villages, not sympathetic to villages, not as an arrogant way of giving it. Sensitive to villages, then things will work out. And this country will go sustainability, everything comes up. When we have to see villages not as consumers, but as providers, which is a fact.
Sir, one point in this scenario, sir. There are mandatory internship according to new education policies for all the BTechs, and 65 to 70% of them are certificates and not actually internships. So I think maybe if some policymakers can say, if not the direct industrial, because agriculture industry is India's one of the biggest industries, so why not get a internship certificate from nearest village.
When I add, sir, I really agree with you, sir. The establishment of the universities at the district level, the meaning is that only. Indigenous knowledge we are not documenting. Generally, orally we are communicating that there is no documentation is not there. Future generations may not be knowing that. The regional universities or district universities, different field or different faculties, whichever the relevance to the village economy, you go and document it. Definitely, it will be useful. What purpose the university has started for education through indigenous education, also one of the important education, along with the modern education. When in gap you are filling between that indigenous education and modern education, development is not at all a problem. Definitely our object will be solved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir Sriram, sir, your point.
Regarding the GDP and all you are saying, no? In this case, we have to learn lesson from the China. Regarding, in India, we are very strong in service sector. The China is very strong in manufacturing sector. So world is depending on China because they are exporting so many goods. If you go to US, if you like this conference, they are giving a kit made of China. Anyway, so India is being the world highest youth population country. We need to think very positively and shift our priorities, particularly service sector. You have to balance service sector plus and manufacturing sector. Definitely our Vikasit Bharat or Vision 2020 will be true. It will become a dream come true. Without considering manufacturing sector, it's very difficult. Recently, just a government team, 34 members, we visited the Germany and Switzerland, official delegation. In Germany, you know, it is very good at manufacturing, particularly automobile. They have removed so many employees from automobile, citing that no, their cost of manufacturing is very huge compared to China. If they are able to manufacture the Benz car in Germany for 2 crores rupees, but China is making 1 crore rupees. They are not able to sustain for the stiff competition. So like they are solding out some of the industries. Similarly, KUKA robot. KUKA robot is found in Germany and they are established in Germany but taken over by the Chinese company. So why all these are happening? Because of we are lacking in skills, lacking in entrepreneurship and lacking in attitude and particularly education system. So now we already crossed the population compared to China. We are number 1 in the world. But we have to think in these directions, like we have to establish the manufacturing sector, whether private or government, whatever it is, so that more employability can be created and also we can export so that we can cross, otherwise we can compete with the China.
Sure, sir, definitely. I'll touch upon from the industry perspective. Because of some time constraints, I'm rushing on the questions. But Sunil sir, you have actually co-founded Plural Technology from a rented apartment and grew it to a global enterprise serving several customers across the globe. But statistics say most of the startups fail in their first 3 years. What is the most critical mindset or operational lesson that young entrepreneurs in this room need to survive what they call startup valley of death?
Good, startup valley of death. So yeah, I think the statistics are right. 90% of the companies fail in the first 3 years. And I sometimes think they are the luckiest because they don't have to go through the pain. So yeah, it is a very painful job. Okay, when you're starting from nothing and making an enterprise out of it, especially if you do not have a family or if you're a first generation entrepreneur. If you're a second or third generation entrepreneur, that's a different thing. So I'm talking about the first generation entrepreneur. I think one single most important thing is, you are entering into an ecosystem where the risk is the norm. And you should accept that, there is a risk. And you really have to believe in what you're doing. Every single time it sounds like it is impossible. Every single time, you face a situation like there is no way to go further another step. That kind of situation is going to be huge, and that is why a lot of people give up. because I also worked for Tata and other companies before I started my own company. I did not have any money in the first month or first whole year. So otherwise, if you're working for another company, you get paid, you party, you enjoy, you have everything, and on the side you do something. When you start working on your own, there is not going to be anything. You have to do from the scratch. So you really have to not give up, okay, on that belief. I think the breakthrough only comes through when you're completely broken. You have to go through that phase. If you're not ready to be broken, and then take one extra step beyond that, there is no success. So I have gone through that, okay, in the first 3 years, but also multiple times. Every time there is a big storm in the market, right? So if you're afraid of a rain, and okay, if you're staying home, you cannot enter into something like this. You should face like a cyclone. Okay, if you're really able to get into something like a cyclone and still sustain, I think that is you asked about a mindset. That's why I'm using those words like that. But otherwise, there are other things in business. It is very important. You can't be in business because you want to make more money. Okay, you lose more money than make money. The real reason why you would succeed in business is you're able to give value. Customers should come to you because you're providing better value than anybody else. You could provide value than largest of the largest businesses. If you're valuing your customer, you know what they want. Package it in a way, okay, where they could afford, they see more value. And I think that is one important thing as a business mindset. As an individual mindset, I think you should be really be able to be ready to be broken and okay, get through the breakthrough.
Yeah, as a follower of the league, I totally agree on that. A very simple one that we know recently is Mr. Pawan, the founder of, co-founder of Skyroot, was actually struggling to get 1 lakh rupees funded for his enterprise back in the days. Now we know that they've put a satellite in the orbit. So that's the success story. Most important to realize that be prepared to be broken. Then you can rebuild it. I'm not sure how many of you have the Batman reference. The first step that their coach does is he breaks his back. And then he grows stronger and stronger and becomes the Batman who actually saves the city. With just last one question for the entire panel. From your point of view, if we have a time machine now and you're in 2047, what is that thing that would completely disappear from either a university or a startup or a remote village?
No, sir, it is not possible. Definitely, link is there. Without base, we cannot build up anything. Even the time gap is not there. Definitely, you have to stand on certain steps. Otherwise, it's not possible. Base is definitely traditionally. Somebody what will always thinking that other thing, AI, modernization, technology, everything we are thinking of that. I want to tell you one thing. Traditional knowledge, or traditional, all are not wrong. Generally, we have to believe that grandmother may not be look smart, but don't forget our experiences. That is very, very important. He definitely, to anything there, definitely traditional knowledge, it should be continued. But upliftment is very, very essential. Changing knowledge, adaptability is also very, very essential. Generally, you have to take the traditional knowledge with the modern knowledge to the Himalayan heights, definitely it will be possible. Thank you very much.
Sir.
I won't be there that time.
If we are going now on
but
a time machine.
Notwithstanding that, I think the human bondage will slowly disappear. We become human robots. The way technology is going and the way being adopted by everybody from child to the eldest person, we remain human robots. I'm afraid I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah, 2047 scenario is really frightful when it comes to India particularly. Because we Indians, we refuse to change. हम तो ऐसे ही रहते हैं. That is our attitude. And for example, if you take our habits, ordinary things, spitting on the road, urinating everywhere, I mean, that is our hallmark. Everywhere throughout the world, we become a laughing stock. Anyway, coming to India, that is why I said if 2047 should be a brighter picture, it should indicate a better India or a better planet as part of the better planet. We have to undergo a major understanding of the system that we are working on. For example, I'll give you only two examples and finish, because such an audience I'll never get. Number one is in Telangana, between Zahirabad and Vikarabad, there is one village known as Gotigarpilli. That particular village is world famous because about 30 years ago, one very famous engineer, T. Hanmantrao, he was advisor to UN then. He was also advisor to AP government. And he came up with what is known as the 4 water concept. One is the entire rainwater, groundwater, then surface water, and he was the first one to speak about the topsoil moisture. That was implemented with the help of people's participation in Gotigarpilli. And today, you forget this El Nino. Even if there are 10 El Ninos, that village will be self-sufficient when it comes to water. Their total rainwater is harvested. They have nothing to fear. And you imagine the amount of the type of unity they have, oneness of purpose. They forget everything. The whole village is one. They are producing rare crops, which they sell in the market for 300 rupees per kg. That is possible. That is one. Second, I have to mention about the success story of Mulkanur. Nothing to do with central government, state government, or political party, nothing. What a wonderful success story it is. Mulkanur is the best cooperative bank in the entire country. It started by the farmers, and it is their willpower. They desired to live in a better world. They came together, and a bank which was started by one farmer, ultimately joined by many, and the only qualification is if any farmer has 1 acre land, they can become members. And today, believe me, it's a wonderful story in collective security. And you know what is their turnover? 800 crores per year.
Oh, fantastic.
That is what development is. So 2047, this incremental approach of the existing political parties will not help. Even similarly, universities. Every university must undergo rapid, they have to introspect, they need to connect with the people, and they have to become activists. Otherwise, what is the fun? We are much better off than the rest of the society. If they ask our help, and if we don't go to their rescue, then what is the purpose of education?
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. Sir,
So I agree, both of them. Firstly, brigadiers have said no, there are women relations are disappearing in 2047 or depleting otherwise. Secondly, Professor Purushottam Reddy sir said, if this type of a growth or development goes by depleting natural resources, we may have one kit of oxygen cylinder with mask after 2047. Everybody has to use like mobile.
So Sunil,
The last one. Just I want to the Mulkanur Society. Fortunately, I visited several times. I was a part of that. The P.V. Narasimha Rao was the vice president initial stage. Really, they're wonderful stage. Any opportunity will go and see that. They have the own petrol bunk, complete mass purchasing order, dairy, several things are there, sir. There the one compromising leader, sacrificing leader is very, very essential. If one should come to the sacrificing leader, followers are numbers more. But only problem is the lack of leadership. Lack of leadership means not with this type of political leadership. So sacrificing leadership, we can create so many Mulkanuris, sustainable development is not at all a problem 2047. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic about the Mulkanur Cooperative Society. My grandparents' place happened to be P.V. Narasimha Rao's village. So I know about that, so it's very inspiring. You asked about what will disappear in 2047.
Yes.
I'm thinking, given, and it is also about India, not about global, right? I'm thinking the extreme poverty will not be the way it is, systemic poverty or okay, any kind of extreme poverty. So that is one thing that may disappear. The poor will be always there, but the kind of extreme systemic poverty that we see today may not be there. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, fantastic points. Thank you so much. But just for the audience purpose, we found some disappearing things. Except for the poverty, most of it is around human relationships and most of the basics that we lose from our soil or from.
Lack of leadership, as rightly pointed.
Yes. So lack of leadership is something that we take from this forum, and leadership demands sacrifice. With that, thank you very much for the panel and the audience. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Palamuru University, I extend my sincere gratitude to esteemed panelists for their valuable presence and their perspectives and sharing valuable insights and inspiring us with a vision for developed and self-reliant India. Let us work together with this dedication and the spirit of service to build a strong, prosperous and developed India by 2047. Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor G. N. Srinivas Garu onto the dais for the felicitation. I request our Vice Chancellor, sir, and the convener, sir, Professor, to felicitate Professor Purushottam Reddy, sir. And I also request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to felicitate Brigadier Pogula Ganesham, sir. And I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, and convener, sir, Professor Masudan Reddy, sir, to felicitate Professor Sriram Venkatesh, sir. And I request Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, and Dr. Noorjahan, Professor Noorjahan, ma'am, to felicitate Professor Ramulu, sir. Yes, sir. And also request to felicitate Mr. Sunil Savaram. And finally, the today's moderator, I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to felicitate our today's moderator, Mr. Ramesh Immadi.
రమణ్ కదా
Professor Raman Narasimhan. Thank you.
We'll move on to the next session. A plenary talk on Viksit Vision India 2047 Role of Artificial Intelligence by Professor Raman Narasimhan, Professor of IIT Chennai. I would like to invite the speaker and I would like to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to welcome the speaker. I request Dr. Praveena Madam to introduce the speaker to the audience.
Thank you, Madam. Professor Raman is currently a senior consultant at IITM Pravartak Chennai and is a part of the Digital Skill Academy unit. IITM Pravartak is a Section 8 company under the Department of Science and Technology and incubated within IITM and housed in IITM Research Park, Chennai. Prior to this role, Raman was a vice president at Cognizant, handling multiple roles like consulting, advisory, P&L management, strategic thought leadership, and business development. Raman specializes in the area of AI and ML, data analytics, and has provided extensive business and technical advisory to global Fortune 500 companies across Asia, India, Europe, and North America. He has worked for a big 4 consulting firms, boutique specialist, data and analytic companies across Singapore, India, US, and UK and US. He holds a UG degree in physics and a PG degree in computer science and MBA from UK. He finished his advanced analytics and AI program from IIM Bangalore and went on to publish a paper at Harvard on demanding forecasting models for a small shelf life FMCG products. With this brief introduction, I hand over the stage to Professor Raman.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Am I audible? The back? Thank you very much. While the screen comes up, I realize that always I am put in 2 very, very difficult spots. One is my session invariably in many of the situations is organized just before lunch. The second part that happens is it is always after an enlightening session. Sometimes I say, okay, you know what, that session will be different. The next one is something that's going to be for me. I can easily navigate it. No. The previous session literally raised the bar so much that quite frankly, I'm a little bit trembling here because this is going to be on the other side of the spectrum about AI and what AI can do and not do. Now, just a while ago when there were some distinguished guests sitting on the dais and they were talking about 2047. And there was this last question that the moderator actually had very carefully planted. Very interesting question. What will you all be doing? How do you foresee yourself when you move to 2047? That is also one of my last slides. So you will have to wait and lunch will also have to wait until it comes up. Bear with me. Technology. Is it audible? Okay, brilliant. Has the screen come up? What needs to be done for the screen to come up? Brilliant. The lights may have to go down a little bit so that, because it's a dark background, I just request. Thank you. So let's get on with it. I was given this particular topic, a fairly difficult topic to talk about. Nevertheless, it's in an area that I'm quite comfortable with, so I said that part of it is not very difficult. But how do I package this whole session in the context of what we are talking about as Viksit Bharat? By the way, I just want to thank the person who introduced me. I'm not a professor. They attached me to professor status. I'm not. So I bow humbly to everyone who is a professor out here. Now, there was a lot of discussion, interestingly, and I was not aware of it, that took back, especially Brigadier Saab was talking about taking back to certain traditions. And I want to actually start off with a similar note that I'm going to be here. That's the spirit of my conversation. Okay? I'm not in the second and in the third one. So I'm leaving the second one right at the door, and I'm actually tearing the third one. I'm not here to actually counter-argue for certain things. Feel free to accept or reject my thoughts that you're probably going to be hearing for the next 45 to 50 minutes. And if there are questions, challenge me. That's the way the Indian knowledge system actually developed right from the grassroots of village level, interestingly. And today there is a very disturbing MIT paper, which I will show sometime later, as to how human knowledge is really going down if we adopt too much amount of this so-called AI technology. While it is great, while it is good, we need it, and probably we cannot avoid it, it is also causing an equal amount of harm. We will see as to how it also affects sustainability as well. Now, there happens once in a generation, or sometimes once in a lifetime, something comes along and changes certain things dramatically from a technology perspective. Something that will actually affect each and every individual, regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of whether you are in a village, you are in a city, doesn't matter. If there is one thing that is threatening, and it has already come on the stage, that is probably going to touch each and everyone's lives, we believe that it is going to be this one. And it is for us that we need to grab it, and grab it the way that we want it to work for India. Let's see what it is. Now, I jokingly, when I put up this particular slide, I actually talk about one thing. I go back to the good old days, and I'm sure it is still there in many of the villages. We go back to the grinding stone with which we prepare batter. At some point in time, mixie came along. People forgot about it. Women forgot about it. They said, oh, the mixie, preeti, butterfly, whatever it is, that's the one that they wanted. While it was great, they also had shoulder problems and hand problems and ankle problems. Move a first step further. A new set of companies came along and said, okay, we will prepare ready-made idli dosa batter for you. Why do you have to actually use the mixie? And then move along, you had Zomato, Swiggy and others saying, don't even need dosa batter and idli batter. You order, it will come home. Technology actually enabled. Something killed one thing, or probably is attempting to kill, and another one came along. New businesses came out. So this will also happen. Oops. Okay. This will also happen. I have actually structured this presentation or this particular session broadly into about 3 areas, and I will dwell upon them. Now, where are we? Where is India, especially in this global AI race? Some of you would already know a few things about it. The second part was actually touched upon by very eminent people just before my session, and I will probably rush through that, but it is a little bit disturbing. They made very direct comments. I was worried, sir, whether I would be in a position to say something in front of this august audience. But nevertheless, I'm going to take courage from all of you who actually made that point and then say the disclaimer is theirs. They actually set the stage for saying this is what is happening. And there was some very pointed part around saying what universities should do. And yesterday night, I lost my sleep saying, should I put it? Should I not put it? Will I offend? Will I actually upset? Will it actually cause a lot of difficulty and, I'm short of stones being thrown at me? What would happen? I'm safe because they set the stage for me very cleverly. And where do we want to be in 2047? And if you follow some of these people who are actually saying what AI will do and what AI will not do, and this the context is only AI, what will happen to humans? That's the last question in 20 years from now. Let's have a debate about it. Okay. Now, where are we? The world is changing. The world is changing very fast. And is India changing at that same speed? Okay. From an AI perspective, there are these big fives, I would say. And India is not far away from it. There are these big fives who are putting in an enormous amount of money at this point in time. So if you're an investor, you want to make some quick money, here is one opportunity. However, there are some gray areas there. The US, don't need to say, every day we get to hear billions and billions of money being put into all these AI technologies. China is the one that worries everyone. There are others who are putting money on account of what I would call in the next slide as fear. The European Union, we all know about the European Union, very safe, very strict, process-oriented, etc., conservative thinking, by and large, is saying, I will first come up with a regulatory view of what AI should look like and what AI should not look like, and then I will go on to build whatever that I want. United Kingdom is having its own internal challenges after coming out of Europe. Look at India. Now, we are still largely a consumer. We have not gone yet into the creation mode. And that is something that the distinguished guest before me actually touched upon, saying, yes, we have to do something, and India has to do something for India, not necessarily for the rest of the world. Now, I touched upon this point. There is this element of fear. It is the fear that is making investors to put money into each one of these regions. The first one is fear of China. There is definitely a fear that you take any of the big shots who actually come onto the stage and talk about what is working behind their mean is, what if China does something at a much, much faster pace and take over the entire world? Now, what do we then do? India can actually take a third approach. We have a unique opportunity to be completely different and democratize value systems within our ancient traditional. That is something that India can do amazingly well, and we have a unique opportunity. Now, if you just roll the clock back, not very far, I just want, given the audience out here, I just want to take you back only about 15 years, not more than that. We all lived in this era, what we call a SMAC era. Some of the technologists would know what SMAC is, social media, analytics, and cloud. At that point in time, the A in the SMAC literally started going in a different direction. Then, every other organization started talking about digital, including agricultural, including sustainable development. Everybody you talk anything, they said digitize. we need to have digital transformation that should be actually driving our businesses. Now, they all started wrapping physical processes and digital layers, apps, platforms, sensors, soil sensors, you talk whatever it is, in any field, they said digitize, and then we will have something completely different. Now, when you digitize certain things, data just literally exploded. Look at this cycle. What started off as saying we need to extract intelligence from the data, which is why they started using AI extensively, not that it was not used before, started using extensively. Then when this one came along, this beast came along, it created a lot more of the data that potentially could not be handled. One started feeding into the other. More data, use more AI, use more power, use more computing thing, do a lot more. That happened out here. And now at this particular point in time, the world literally shifted in another direction. It took off. What really happened? Just wait for a few minutes. Now, Viksit Bharat, there was an attempt at defining what Viksit is all about. I totally buy into it. It was a very, very nice segue. Now, one of the things is innovation, which is also one of your agenda. How can you unleash indigenous innovation? That is there as one of the themes as far as the 2047 demand is concerned. And out of the 5 pillars, I'm going to touch upon only one pillar. I wish I had the time to touch upon all the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars, just to recall, is around healthcare, down to the last man in the smallest of the villages that you can think of. Okay? Education, because we are assembled here in a university context, I want to touch upon the learning part of it. Yes, there is an element around agriculture, governance, as well as research. Okay, let's take the aim of education. What can universities do? Now, in a few slides from now is where the difficult messages are going to come, but let me actually pitch up front as to how the entire academia, research facility, university domain should fundamentally change. Personalized learning. Today we are missing. India is missing big time in personalized learning. And I'll come to it by what I mean by personalization. We all know personalization very well when it comes to credit cards being given, loans being given, cars being given. But when we take a class of 40 students, what does a personalized learning mean for a student who is falling behind in the so-called grading system, or who is the brightest student in the class is not there today? It simply does not exist. There is no time, there is no bandwidth. The teacher is probably not in a position to do it, but that is fundamentally changing because there is a beast that is running towards it. Intelligent assessment and research acceleration. These are the 3 areas that the academia should probably be putting in an enormous amount of energy as well as investments. Now, what is breaking? Ignore, please pardon me for the line in orange. That's where I'm actually taking a cue from the distinguished guests who talked prior to me. Now, this is the disturbing research paper that I just read a little more than a few days ago, take it about a week. Just think about yourself. I will read it out of you if it is a little bit small for you at the back of the room. Now, let's say you are given a strong, complex problem on hand to solve. Okay, it could be anything, it could be any sector, whatever it is. How did we actually do it? You generate knowledge, general knowledge about how the world works. You gather that general knowledge. And then context-specific knowledge. Now with these two, human beings literally worked hard. They actually understood the general principle. You share that principle and human intelligence grows. Does everyone agree with it? This is how it worked. Yeah? Now, what is the silent crisis that is happening? AI. It is good. It is incredibly good today. Yes, there are gaps. Yes, in some areas it needs to catch up, which is there in the last line. But AI is incredibly good today. There's no doubt about the fact that it can give you exact context-specific answer that you read right now. So let's say it gives you. It hands you the solution on a silver platter. I'll give you an example. As part of my responsibility through the Ministry of External Affairs, we run a lot of exchange programs with SAARC nations, where we actually take a lot of entrepreneurs and we put them to an 8-week, 4-week, 6 weeks type program. One of the program is for my responsibility to teach them fundamentals of AI and what it can do and what it cannot do. I just finished a batch for a cohort from Nepal. There was this young lady who came up. She had lost her father, she had lost her mother, and I think one of the sisters, if I'm not mistaken, due to cancer. Extreme form of cancer. And she herself was a cancer survivor. She went to AI. She literally used AI to create sustainable products like bathroom cleaners, floor cleaners, your hand wash, your whatever body wash, and a few other products that are there in her pipeline. She didn't ask anybody. She said, I don't know where to go. But she took one of those very good licenses from an AI assistant, started doing the research. She created 2 products, the bathroom floor cleaner and the toilet bowl cleaner, all by herself using bioenzymes. Because Nepal attaches a significant amount of value to these kind of sustainable products. Not so much to the extent that Bhutan does, but Nepal is not very far away. She is a young entrepreneur and she demonstrated, showed a photograph of her entire plant and how she is actually doing it in Nepal. She has been about 2 years into the system. She is profitable. In 2 years, she has become very profitable. She says, I don't know anything about AI, but I just went there and asked what are all the different things that I should probably mix. If I do this, what will come out? Is this something that I can actually take to the business? Every aspect of the business, she sat down after losing her family, kith and kin, to create this new product. Nobody coached her. No innovator or no advisor came to her and said, why don't you enter this business? It was a spark that came to her head and said, I want to do it. And she went on to do it and when she on created. Amazing lady. She did very well, in fact, in our entire program. Now, that is what it is. It can give you a solution on a silver platter. So what happens is human beings stop actually doing the hard work part of it. In this case, it was different, no doubt. Now, this potentially has the danger of stopping the generating knowledge that we would do. This is not me saying, this is an MIT research paper. They actually are warning that if this happens, the incentive for humans to learn drops literally asymptotic to 0. That makes sense? There's a serious danger. Now, if that happens in your class, this is the hard message. There are a number of jobs which will not exist. They will simply vanish out. So, which means go back and think very carefully, what are those courses, programs that you are currently teaching? What you are teaching is something that is probably not even going to exist in 4 to 6 years from now. If we were to meet again in 2030, quite a few of them would disappear. When I say disappear, it may still exist in India, fairly decent numbers, but the time is not very far before quite a few of them that I put on the right actually disappear. I'm going to show you another slide which you can agree or disagree with me, just bear with that. 45% of the graduate top task will be automated within 10 years, and that time could probably not even be 10 years at the time it is written. It could even be 5, 6 years or even 4 years. Gone. So when I go to deep villages and do very, very small towns, like what Brigadier Saab was saying, when we go and teach them AI or take a program on AI 2 days, 3 days for the faculty, there was this mid-aged 55-year-old physics professor who she came to me and she said, I really don't know why we are still teaching physics. So she is handling a class of 30 students in that small tier 3 village. And she says, we still teach 3-year undergraduate program in physics. But I don't know what will happen when these students come out. And she is also struggling to teach physics the way that it should be taught. That's a different one, which AI can actually help. But what will happen after that? What are the kind of things that these physics students can actually take up? It's a stark reality. It's like opening out your eyes to say, why are we even doing something? I'm not saying don't teach physics, but I'm just saying there are quite a few of the roles that current physics or chemistry or biology or zoology or whatever students that they are doing, when they go on to apply those kind of roles, they are not going to exist when they come out. We all know there was a very, very mad rush. In the 1980s, the so-called elite IT as a domain was only occupied by computer science students. Huh? A cousin of mine is an aeronautical engineer from IIT. And she is actually working in an IT company. I said, what are you doing? What are you sitting and doing? I mean, India is actually going to explode in the aeronautical field. What are you sitting and doing actually coding? Because 2 years ago when I told her, you are going to be out. Trust me. You are better off actually focusing in your own area of specialization. She said, no, nothing will happen. 2 weeks ago, she gave me a call. She said, I've been made redundant. I said, you made a mistake. Nobody asked you to choose an IT as a thing which you are an aeronautical engineer from a premium institute like IIT Madras. It will go away. Some of the IT jobs will go away. That is a reality. But it made billionaires, millionaires, trillionaires probably over the last 25 years. A lot of things could undergo shape there. Now, next one. There is a green line on the top in small print. This is August 2026. This is not some future. What you see on the left-hand side are things that will either be replaced very quickly or has already been replaced. The scale may vary, but it has happened already. What will get augmented? Now you tell me, I'm going to take a survey in the spirit of keeping it a little bit interactive. How often do you go to a medical examination, a master medical checkup, and who takes the blood pressure these days? Nurse. How many of you would say a doctor is actually taking my BP? It has got a left shift. No doctor actually is taking a BP. A doctor, I hope there are no doctors, I mean the medical doctors. No doctor even wants to touch you. I have an 87-year-old family physician. He comes from the Madras Medical College, the famous Madras Medical College of those days. He's a very close friend of the former solicitor, Attorney General Parasharan, who actually argued in the Ram Janmabhoomi case, right? They're all like colleagues and very close friends, same area. The first thing that he does when I walk into, I said I went for a medical checkup through my company, previous company, and it came up with this number. And then he said, okay, place your hand. He started talking something about Shabarimala, everything. Casually he was talking. The first thing is he started touching my hand. He started touching my veins. He started touching my pulses. And then very slowly he put on his thing. And then who actually took this BP recording for you? I said, yeah, I went into this hospital. There was this nurse. I'm sure you must have seen the nurse face and then you would have got excited or something. Very joking. Nice man. Very joking. He said, your BP must have gone up. I said, no, I didn't even look at their face. That is the problem. Okay, that is what. So it was hilarious. Morning, it was 150 by something, number which was in 3 digits, the diastolic. At his clinic, it was 130 by 80, like a kid. He said, you don't need any medicines. Extremely strong medicines written for me. Left shift has happened. Radiologist. I challenged a radiologist. Today, if you go and take any one of these scans and abdomen scans or whatever it is, they ask you to drink a lot of water and then take a scan, right? The entire report is automatically generated. She only takes and signs it. Have you noticed it very carefully? She only signs it. So what was previously, okay, you take a report, then you analyze it, then you look at it, and then you see in all forms of light, and then say something small is visible in your left or right, is all gone. Gone. So the doctor, the precision is coming from another beast altogether. And very soon, and if you are someone who likes to follow Elon Musk, have you seen his latest interview? He says, and the reason I follow him, not that I'm biased towards him, he has a habit of making things happen when somebody would say this is fiction. So according to him, in 3 years, his humanoid robot will be far better than the best surgeon in the entire world. And it can perform any complex medical operation, surgery. Forget about operation. Very complex surgery. He says, I'm just only 3 years away. And in his latest interview, he says his Neuralink. You know about Neuralink? It's a small type of 50 paise coin type thing that will be kept inside your brain, and it will rewire some of those nerve cells that are gone. So he says anything that a person has got a nerve damage can possibly come back as though nothing happened. And he says it's only about a year or two away. So if a humanoid completely takes over the surgery field, he says, and this is how the moderator or the person who is interviewing him actually concludes. So you're saying, Elon, there'll be no need for doctors. He said, yeah, there'll be no need for doctors. It's a scary thought, right? And if I say this in front of, not this kind of a university audience, but if I say this in front of the medical fraternity, by the time I walk out, I'll be killed. They will not leave me alone. But literally what is happening, and it will not take, the good thing about India is, it will not take a very long time for that technology to come here. And we will do far better than what he can also actually do. His humanoid robots are doing amazing things even within a month. A few months ago, if you had seen, it had difficulty in turning when it was doing a stir fry. You should watch all these videos. It's very interesting. In stir fry, like your grandmother or mother would probably do it like that, in that tawa or in that pan, it was struggling to go a little bit like that. Today it is very comfortably doing stir fry. Now, will there be a role for CEOs? I don't know. Would you have a CEO in 2047? Why? Today it is informing and the humans decide the strategy. AI can decide the strategy. If you read about AI superintelligence, which is what Elon and others are betting on, it can divide the strategy. The heart behind deciding a strategy is an amazing mathematical formula. Part of that mathematical formula, my dear friends, if there are any mathematics related faculty here, put up your hands. Do you teach Markov modeling in class? Markov was a brilliant Russian mathematician. His models in the late 1800s is what is actually running within an automatic car. Yeah. Markov decision is what is running within reinforcement learning. Markov models can decide strategies. It can do extremely well. If it can actually help you drive a driverless car, what makes you think that it cannot decide on the strategy? It can only get better. It will, and it will get better. Okay, now, two blind spots. People touched about China. I'm not going to touch again. But what worries is this brain drain. That is what your universities and other people should probably be thinking so loud about it. Would anybody disagree with the first statement? It's a controversial statement. India's best AI minds work for Google, OpenAI, and DeepMind. Yes or no? They are paid crores in stock options plus salaries. And they work out of Bangalore, by the way, or Hyderabad center. Indian AI startups, a good number of them, they get funding from a lot of Western world investors, but they also get equally gobbled up by Western investors. Today we are at actually the world's AI back office. That is a sad part. Both are happening. Now, somebody touched upon, in the previous session, it was all about 20% leave it out, 80% of India's population. That number is staggering. It has actually come from some of the studies. 900 million of non-English Indians today are left out of the AI revolution because they don't have what it takes to communicate with it in their language. It's all predominantly English. So similarly, in the Nepal batch that I just taught 2 weeks ago, there was this gentleman from Nepal who is trying to recover what he calls as lost voices. There are so many languages and dialects in Nepal, which actually is spoken only by a very, very small section of the community, 300 people, 400 people. Those languages are going out very fast. So he is trying to restore all of them back. And he says that's the only way in which we as a country can connect back with the roots of these people, where Nepali is not the primary language, Pali is not the primary language, but there are nearly about 20 other languages in Nepal alone, which are hardly spoken by 300, 400, 500 people. And his venture is all about recreating all of that. India needs to do something similar. Address that 900 million. Today, India's languages, of which IIT Pravartak is doing phenomenal work. There's a lot of secretive work also that is going on behind the scene, which I'm not entitled to say. But nevertheless, Hindi, Tamil, and Telugu, we are getting there. We will do way better in about 2 years. We will leapfrog. We will do extremely well in those things. Okay, now, we don't have world-class LLMs, large language models, for Kannada, Bengali, Marathi, and Odia. We will get there. That is where universities should really start coming up. This is where there is a huge role for academics. Now, this is the next uncomfortable truth. Cut the chase not to 2047. Just get to 2030. Many of our degrees will lose complete value. Now, if I say this, and I know there's a very small section of the group out there, if I say this to a first year or a second year student sitting out here today, he or she is going to get deeply worried. But that's the truth that I'll have to say. Okay, this is not meant to actually be a scary one. I'm not trying to put a fear. But the train is coming towards us. And what the train looks like? Mass unemployment. Many of you know about deepfakes and disinformation. Autonomous weapons. That is one area where we can now look at how to train or how to build skills using the new technology. There's nothing wrong. That is also a field. That is also something we need to do. So when this particular teacher asked me, should I teach physics or not? I said physics is essential. Physics and chemistry are essential. But what are you going to create with that? It has to be something completely different. India does not have the capacity to just absorb raw physics students and chemistry students in those kind of jobs. But these are the areas that you can probably look at. As much as you can see these as a fear-inducing message, these are opportunity areas for us. Amazing opportunity areas. Okay, this is something that's known as very fairly theoretical. In the interest of time, let me quickly go through. Ethics. The previous audience also touched upon this, albeit in a slightly different way. Indian ethics should be written for India context. Start delivering ethical messages within your classrooms straight away. Now, there was somebody who asked me, what do you mean by that? I showed them a Times of India article. In the state of Haryana, and it quotes one or two students, 17-year-old, typical 12th standard student. That 12th standard student was doing exceptionally well in all the homework and assignments that were given. That's because she was using ChatGPT base. So whatever the questions that came out, meaning that was given to her, all homework assignments she was doing very well. All in green, tick, good marks. Come exam, she failed. A bunch of students failed. That was a triggering point. So there is a similar, you must have heard about, all academics must have, PNAS is the research forum. PNAS conducted a study, 2025 study. In that particular study, they divided, let's say this entire audience, into 3 groups. For one, they gave GPT base, ChatGPT base. For the other group, they gave GPT tutor. For the third group, and that research is available with me, I can share it with you. For the third group, they gave books. So the ChatGPT based students, all assignments, problem, homework that was given, they did super duper. ChatGPT tutor did the homework. People with books did the homework. You would expect. Right. Come exams, all the students who were given ChatGPT base failed miserably. Not a single student passed. ChatGPT tutor passed. Books passed. Expected. So I said, that's where basic part of ethics comes up. How are you going to actually tell a student that whatever I give, please don't go and type anything, because the screen, regardless of whether it is in your mobile phone or it is in front of your computer, what does it say? Ask anything. That's the most irritating comment that you can ever see. I'm as an AI specialist, I don't actually like when it says ask anything. But it starts getting wired in your head saying that you can ask anything, right? It could be a love letter. It could be a leave letter. Yes, it is happening. I said, how did you know that your students are actually using these kind of facilities? She said, the saddest part of it is, she said, in the past, students who come from rural places, they were extremely smart. You ask them why you did not turn up to the college, they will give reasons orally. But then when the college said you should actually write a proper leave letter so that it goes into the record, they will write all sorts of rubbish. They will not know to craft a proper leave letter. Today they are writing perfect English when the person cannot even speak for 5 minutes continuously in English. Isn't the leave letter comes very clearly that says, this is the reason why I was not able to attend class yesterday. She said, we found out from that. It's a sad thing, right? As to why it is being used. Now, look at this 4 boxes. All 4 of them have an equal responsibility. And that is where I'm coming to the university part of it. There is this student, the cohort of students, be it in school, college, doesn't matter. Then parents, they have a role to play. They have to teach a certain set of ethical values to our children, to their children. Then educationists, the 3rd bucket. And then the industry. All these 4 people somehow magically think the other 3 will take the ethical responsibility. That to me is not fair. Isn't it? Each one of you have a responsibility. Parents have to teach their children what ethical values are, even when it comes to using AI. Students also need to know, they also need to be coached, but they should also have certain ethical values imbibed within themselves. Educationists have a role. Industry also has a role. Now, industry believes, they will come out of the college with good ethical values. Educationists say, the parents will teach them. Parents will say, the child will grow. We will give them all the freedom. They will actually figure out what is right and wrong. I'm hearing increasingly parents actually saying, we give them full, freedom for them to choose what is right, what is wrong. You choose your own. Choosing their own course and all that is all fine. That is what the children wants to do. But where is the element of the Indian ethical values that you would teach to your students? Suddenly the parent's face goes blank. It's a sad thing. Sovereignty. This is an area that is often ignored. What do we mean by that is, yes, there is a technology element which is around compute sovereignty, the models which are actually going to be trained on that, but the last part of it is data. Everything that today a child, a 3-year-old, 4-year-old child, irresponsibly given a mobile phone or a gadget, they do not know the kind of risk that they are actually generating for the country and for themselves. They keep watching all sorts of things. While they watch good things also, they actually watch things that they should not be seeing, and that actually leaks data extensively. Why? Now, it is not just a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old child. It's each and every one of us who actually are looking at it only like this. You go to the airport, you go and see the airport in that entire lounge, people waiting. Show me one person today, or let's say on an average 300 passengers actually board a flight in a particular lounge area. Show me at least 10% of them who have a book like this and read with their neck straight. I'll take my words back. It is like that. And you see everybody else is like that. Every minute that you're watching, every second you're watching something, and this is not a technology that India planted. It's a Western technology that has been planted. Every second that you watch something, whether it is Sachin Tendulkar hammering a 6 in that particular over, or a piece of clip, or something good, or something bad, or something vulgar, only will get re-amplified more and more. And the more it still comes back. So data, we are inadvertently giving it out. Governing. Now, the minute you start governing it, and we start framing rules, it's like, our freedom has been taken out. India has a huge challenge because of its diversity. So what should universities be doing? That's an area that we actually want to be thinking about. Now, again, I didn't know about the previous panel discussion would come before mine. They talked about sustainability. They talked about reaching out to the village farmer, etc. But imagine, what would 47 look like? And I was not editing when Brigadier Saab or Shotaman Saab was doing anything. This was done last week. A farmer in Odisha asks AI about a crop disease and in India and gets an answer in Odia. Fair enough. Expected. It's a good thing to have. Assuming in 20 years agriculture still survives and the farmer's role also survives, which I strongly believe will be there. Now, whether a surgeon will be there, whether a radiologist will be there, that I cannot bet. Radiologist, I am pretty sure. My friend's daughter got MD radiology. I said, of all the branch, why did you take radiology? That is finished. So I said, okay, fine, keep the radiologist away. Farmer, right. Student in Assam learns from an AI tutor as good as any IIT professor for free, possible. Not even in 47. In about 5 years, it is possible. Less than 5 years. The kind of things that all the IITs are doing is going to be fabulous in 5 years. An Indian foundational AI model powers 50 nations, built here, owned here. Possible. If you take the pledge to do it and build the students for actually doing something here that can be used worldwide, big thumbs up. Fast forward, what 2047 would look like. We took a shot at few of the industries. By the way, the source is all here. It should not have my name. You should not go away thinking that this person came on stage and said all these things will vanish or all these things will go away. Healthcare. The first man believes that there will be no doctors in 2047. He says there is no need for doctors. A good part of diagnosis today has been replaced by AI. Good part of diagnosis. Now, let's take a quick survey call here. For some of the basic things, I'm having a shoulder pain. Do you ask ChatGPT? See, that population is actually saying yes. Huh? Would you ask ChatGPT saying, what should I do? Okay. Doctor prescribes a set of medicines. How many of you come back and immediately type and say what this medicine will do and will not do? Oh, that's a lot of hands going up. Did you do it 5 years ago? No. Today, any medicine of any, 20 gram, 20 milligram, 5 milligram, whatever it is, exact specification, including manufacturers, you want to know. And it gives you an answer. This is what will happen. This is what will be your side effects, etc., etc. Good. Healthcare, 2047. I'm not saying, these people are saying, doctors will probably disappear. Good. Legal. The Indian system may be a little bit more challenging because the courts do not want really AI to come in big time so much. But that is for another domain to think about. But technically speaking, if anybody is aspiring to become a lawyer, please think twice again. Finance. A good part of what chartered accountants are doing, and I hope there are no chartered accountants in this room, and he is recording my voice, my God. A good part of what chartered accountants are sitting and doing for multinationals as back office here, please shut shop and go home. Don't do it. Do something higher value added. Algorithms can easily predict what is happening within your entire financial books even today. It's just that these models have not been put to scale. Defense is a scary one. It's an area that we really, really need to invest given our strategic location. Transport. Think about it. Human-driven cars made illegal on public roads. Well, I had the opportunity just over a year ago to sit in a self-driven car, back seat, in the US, and it's a scary thought initially. Have you been in a self-driven car? Anybody here in this room? So my friend has he bought one of those new Teslas, and he said, why don't you come and we'll go for a drive. So I said, okay, fine. So normally you go to the right-hand side and sit, right? In that kind, the driver is shepherd. He said, no. You don't go there. You come back. I said, okay. So he doesn't want me to wear the seat belt and sit in front so I can go back. In the US, you're allowed to sit in the back without a seat belt in some states. So I thought I'll go back. He also came back. I said, what are you doing? He said, no, let's go. So we sat down. It was perfect. You cannot imagine. Interacts. Where do you want to go? Okay, I'm running low a little bit on charge. There is one charging station 7 miles down. There's another one in 14. I can take you in 14 minutes to that 14 miles into that charging station. The 7-mile one, there are already 3 cars that are getting charged now. Tesla says that. So you will have to wait for at least 40 minutes before you will get a charging station. Whereas there is one in 14 miles that I can take you, which has got a free station. He said, okay, take to me that. We went there, 40 minutes, he took 20 minutes charge. Then he said, what do you want to do? He said, go home. We came home. Yes, so I wanted to please my family, especially my son and daughter, that I also sat in a Tesla. And he took a small video. But the funny part of it is, he said he made me sit behind the wheel, but he said, don't touch the wheel. You don't need to. He said, just sit back, I'll take a video of yours, and the car will go. He said, no, I feel very uncomfortable with it. He said, no, don't worry. He took the car outside from 2 cars which are packed in a parallel parking. Comfortably, he took me out, went, took a U-turn, came back, and we went home. It did brilliant. Now, will it work in India? It will work in India, trust me. And that's my view. In 47, in 20 years from now, we will have. That's a sector that I don't know much, energy. But that is going through some amazing changes because of AI. So that is one area that universities should be focusing upon. Now, maybe stretch this particular timeline a little bit. And I just want to focus only on the first part. Forget about the remaining part of the roadmap. It is a view that we take as to what colleges and universities and educational institutions and educationists should also be doing. But here, there is a deep dive into a potential roadmap for all of you. I'll just go to there and then I'll come back. Right. Now, if you are waiting for saying, you talked about all this, we are all educationists, what should we be doing? Why don't you give us a simple message? Here it is. Now, some may not like a center of excellence type word, but in many cases, we actually see that colleges and universities today are not even thinking about how to create a cohesive group that wants to learn AI. It's in pockets. Today, next 3 years, and then what do you want to do beyond that? Now, this is an interesting one. I saw somebody being introduced as a dean. I saw somebody come up to the stage and give a prize as dean. Should you not think about an AI dean? A dean of chemistry is fine, a dean of biosciences is fine, a dean of life sciences is fine. Why not an AI dean? Seriously, you should be thinking about it. Now, let's go back by a few slides. Oops, sorry. The choice of displacement versus creation or augment will be a constant challenge for you year after year. Intentionally, I did not put, okay, there is a little bit of education there, but I didn't double click so deep into it. Just 2 weeks ago, any of you actually are in the business of correcting exam answer sheets? How much time do you take to correct an answer sheet? 4 to 5 minutes per paper. How many students you correct? 50. So that is about 200 minutes, is it? 2.5, 4 to 5 minutes, even if the person has written 10 pages, 20 pages. So when you correct, what do you look for? Some keywords. Has a person written such a big answer with some keywords, broadly is written, but in between, if there is Vaibhav, Suryavanshi and all that, you will not worry. So China launched a new machine. You take all the answer papers, like a fax machine or a photocopy machine, you just place it there. The video is there. Just place it. Take a step back. It actually corrects all the papers. It grades. Sorry, come again? Not much. Do you have any answers? Okay. Okay, there will be differences, sir. Are you using free version? Sir, free version, only so much is there in free version. Anything more than, if any of you are using only free versions, don't think too much about AI. The free version of AI is actually useless AI. Complete crap. I'll tell you openly. There's nothing in a free version. Why would you want to give anything? You go to a paid version. Of course, it costs you. A simple paid version in any of the AI.
That purpose, I want to test the AI, how we are evaluating, myself, how I am evaluating.
Yes, sir.
This is the comparison purpose.
Yes, sir. Correct. What you're doing is right. But if you try to compare whatever that you are actually trying to compare in a free version of AI, there is nothing called free lunch. It will give you really bad answers. By the way, I'll put a quick health warning. But if you take a paid version, it improves. If you take a super paid version, that is how they are actually making money. So you will not get any deep research material or any deep answers coming out of any of those AI assistants if you use a free version. You take it from me, it will not work. A free version is only for kids' play. It's just for us. For educationists, you cannot afford to actually run an institute with free version. So anyway, put all the paper, scans everything quickly, corrects everything, scores, sends the scores, and by the time the student actually has left the examination hall, meaning has even gone home, the score has come to that person's mobile phone. You failed, you passed, you scored 46, 56. That much of paper. Just put it inside the machine. It does everything. Grading, tutoring. Now, tutoring is the worrying aspect. Why? This was demonstrated. I don't have an internet connection, so I will not be able to do. Mathematics? Okay. I don't know much about partial differentiation, but I took partial differentiation as the example in integral calculus. I said, in the free version, I said, teach me partial differentiation. Write a prompt. It came back. I repeated the same prompt. It came back. I repeated the same prompt 5 times. The 5th time it said, oh, it looks like you still do not understand partial differentiation. So it goes to the absolute basic level and teaches partial differentiation to a layman. Partial differentiation is not an easy concept. So what are you actually can infer from here? If there is a person at the corner of your classroom who is like me, who does not understand partial differentiation when I typed the first time, but when I typed the 5th time, it gave me something that I understood. You, as an individual professor, will not be able to cater to a class of 40 people to teach from the most basic level to the most to the most sophisticated level. Would you agree? You need so much amount of time. Tutoring. It can tutor a person who does not even know how to actually spell partial differentiation. At the same time, it can give very high university related explanation for partial differentiation, all within the same context. So if tutoring is actually taken up, tutoring, I'm not saying copying, if tutoring is taken up, what would be your role? In the Western world, the concept of going to college is fast disappearing. Would you know that? There is no point because students come out with a huge amount of debt. That particular problem has not hit India yet. It may hit because the way colleges are charging astronomical fees, especially the premium institutes, the tier ones, yeah, affordable people go. But if somebody else then goes to one of those premium tier one schools and they come out with a 20 lakh or a 30 lakh bill at the end of 4 years or 5 years, he or she is probably not going to get a job that will help him repay within the first 2 years. So in the US, in the Western world, it is a crisis. Nobody wants to go to any of those colleges, at least the average person. He says, I want skills. Take anything else here. Challenge me if this is something that is going to be threatened as a full replacement. I'm happy to take that and say, no, this has not been replaced yet. Augment. I actually did not say create yet because we are still not there from a creation standpoint, but augment, yes. Healthcare, legal, finance, manufacturing, education, curriculum designs. When you go back tomorrow, over the weekend, you can design the best curriculum that is needed, maybe not for 2047, but you can design the best curriculum for the next year to say, I want to elevate from this level to a completely new level when I'm teaching trigonometry or when I'm teaching algebra. Not just, okay, system of equations, system of inequations, solve 10 problems, that's it. That is not the way that you can possibly be teaching. In the previous session, people touched about curriculum. Show of hands, please. Are you here or you are somewhere moving here? Honestly. We all know this. Many of us have come from here. As students of computer science, design of operating system, there used to be this big book, Discrete Mathematics. Even today in one of the universities when I went there, I did discrete mathematics in 1988, first semester paper. And this person takes me to this particular college and shows, by the way, discrete mathematics is a very, very good paper. Huh? You still need to know discrete mathematics. There's no doubt about it. But when I went there, she showed me these are all the books that we use. And the very first book, oh, I know that book. I bought that book those days. That's the book that I used. The point is, the syllabus was written using that book. Somebody from US actually published a book, good book on discrete mathematics. They said, okay, we'll publish this as a syllabus. Fixed syllabus, single discipline, degree. You transfer the knowledge into the job. But in the new world, a person who says, yeah, you know what, I went to college 2 years ago, I finished. I don't even want to be thinking about learning again. Forget it. His job is finished in 1 year. You want to be working till 50, 60, 55, 65, whatever it is, every day. I learn every day. Every day something new comes up. We have to keep augmenting our knowledge. Now, assuming it is a 2010 curriculum, that's what I was told roughly, that produce graduates for a world that no longer exists today. That world is finished. That's gone. Now, that is why that is amplifying into the other side of the problem, which is our graduates are not finding job. The industry does not need that kind of a job. So there was this lady who was just from the audience, she asked me, so what do you expect me to do? Now, I gave a very crude answer, which I don't think she liked it very much. I said, maybe plumbing will be there in 2047. Electricians will be there. Mechanics will be there. Masons will be there. Anything physical that you will have to do will probably be there. I'm not a soothsayer. I don't have a crystal ball. Like Brigadier was saying, I don't know whether I'll survive 2047. But I can safely tell you, okay, if a plumber has to come and fix something, if somebody needs to come home and fix a washing machine or a dishwasher, those roles will be definitely there. But I can't tell you whether you will continue, whether you have to think whether you want to teach physics or chemistry or botany or zoology in 2047. Maybe you need to do it, but in a completely different way altogether, not the way that you're teaching here. Is this a very disturbing message, or I'm going a little bit overboard? Okay. Now, some see it as a huge demographic divide. We also initially see as a huge demographic divide. And I want to echo one of the points that Brigadier made when he was there. Apparently, I hope it's not recorded, the message that IIT Pravartak was given is, you don't have to go to tier 1 college to teach whatever that you want to do from a skilling perspective. Go to places deep inside the villages, deep inside tier 3 places, tier 2, tier 3 cities. Go to those kind of universities where access to some of these things would probably not be easy for them. That's all. Not impossible. But the level of curiosity, the level of intent that was there in those students when we go and stand up and teach this is just unbelievable. It's amazing. It gives us a completely different feeling when we stand up and actually teach them these kind of subjects that we otherwise don't get the same pleasure when we go to cities. The curiosity. So there was this young girl. We were teaching this subject. She comes from a hilly region. She said, after listening to about an hour on machine learning, I took a subject on machine learning. She said, I have a unique problem in my village. Sometimes elephants, quite often, comes and actually damages the crops and goes away. We can't do anything much. When there is a conflict between humans and wildlife, it's better that humans take a back seat. Not everybody does it, but she was putting on a very nice hat. She said, we don't know how to solve a problem. So, sir, I am thinking, and she's an 18-year-old. I'm puzzled, and I'm very, very happy to say that. I'm thinking of a device. You know these scarecrows that actually are planted in fields? That white color cotton thing, hairstyle. She said, I'm planning to replicate that. And she narrated saying, in line of sight. So these are nice technical terms that we use. Line of sight based pole, 5 feet, 5.5 feet, which can have some sensor. She didn't know what sensor. I said, you don't have to know what sensor it is. Leave that to somebody else who will teach you about IoTs. Some sensor and with a cheap camera inside. And I can connect it to a mobile phone and I can develop an app that can actually send a warning message. So she said, what predictive model I should actually build? You talked about machine learning and predictive models. Can I build a predictive model that actually says elephant herd approaching? It's a good problem to solve. It's an amazing problem. And I was like, why is it that such kind of an idea, not that I'm denigrating anybody in the city, but such kind of ideas did not come. So when he said this, it echoed. There are these people who solve or who want to really solve amazing problems on the ground. So she said, can I do that? And if I can actually scale it up, I can cover a huge area of my land which is at particular height. Because in hilly regions, you need to come down, right? That's the way the entire farm fields are stretched. So maybe I'll keep some. And if I just I just allowed her to speak, to say, what all have you thought about this particular solution? She said, yeah, maybe 3 or 4 at that height, maybe 2 at that height, and I know, it will try. Where did you learn this? She said, I don't know. I didn't learn anything, but I'm just thinking if this will be a solution. I said, yes, this solution can be done. And if you prove it with your solution, this is something that can be replicated across India. Every agricultural would actually like it. It could be elephant in your region. It could be stray dogs in another region. It could be cattle in another region. It could be goat in another region. It could be anything. But you are actually solving a problem, which is actually something that any farmer would like. He said, yes, sir, that is my plan. That is what I want to build as a solution, and I want to actually create my own company. Came from a very small place. I said, hats off to you. Now, literacy is all she needed. And we are right there. I mean, our institution is right there at the middle of actually increasing that literacy. That is my unit's fundamental mission. Fellowships and research, startup ecosystems. So I only wish that I could have brought, due to other constraints we could not, but we would gladly like such kind of students to come for our incubation cell. Say that this is what it is, get some funding, actually go and do it. But you have a responsibility as university people to say, this is a brilliant idea, let's try it out. Maybe 20, 30,000 rupees, and you can do a great job with it. Now, there is this passion for in India that anything that is created outside India is great. We all like it. MIT, Stanford, Harvard. Even I don't know where ma'am got a message, but there's something that I published once upon a time. It went on, and later on I regretted why I sent it to Harvard. But nevertheless, it's like, oh, you have all these nice little tags next to you. It's like, yeah, great. No. Read them. That's all. Read and understand what they have done. Bring it back. Here. As much as you must have probably heard, is this a disturbing news? We don't believe it's a disturbing news within Pravartak. We have some of the best institutes actually geared up, albeit there has been a push from top, good thing. Now, all these kind of things that have actually happened can leapfrog us beyond believable levels. And as I speak, it's all happening internally, albeit at a smaller scale, sir. And I will touch before closing. I know I've been probably warned saying that I should stop anytime now. How to be responsible with this AI. I've not covered it in any of my slides, but just think about it. They talked about water. They talked about a lot of sustainability related messages. How many of you use your AI assistants to create any random messages, some picture of cat, dog, whatever it is your child is playing? Any of you use it? Any of you post pictures, photos, etc., and ask it to do something? You take a photo of mine, change the face, put some mustache, beard, all that people do on their phone. Play around with it, yes or no? Good. Now, here is a sad story that has got a direct link to water. You are wasting water by doing that. How? Every time you use AI irresponsibly, the question that you are firing goes somewhere today. In order to give you an answer, AI squeezes itself. It goes and collects an enormous amount of data. That data is invariably stored in a data center. That data center is powered by amazing amounts of power. Unbelievable amount of fossil fuels, and call it whatever you want. And then in order to produce that kind of result in a fraction of a minute that you get back, because today, what is our attention span? 45 seconds, an Instagram reel. That's all we know. When we are given a book to study for 45 minutes, we will not. Sitting in a period for 45 minutes is tough. 45 seconds, we are good at. In order to give you such kind of sub-second response for the question that you asked, or for changing my photo to remove the spectacles and put on something else, it needs faster and faster chips. For that faster and faster chips, you need rare materials. That chip generates an enormous amount of heat. Huh? For that data center or for that particular machine to cool down, we all say, right, oh, my mobile phone is getting heated. So what do? You put it under water, is it? You need water. You need water and cooling systems for all those places to keep them cool. Otherwise, they will not work. Where is that water going to come? The next generation data centers, did you read that article? Is going to be under the ocean. There is a very nice article, read it. I may not be an electrical engineer to understand how you can possibly keep a data center under. But that is the only place. As much as Elon is saying, the only place where I can generate an unbelievable amount of power is solar. So he wants to send the entire solar data center up, so that unlimited amount of power is always available. The other one to cool it is in the water. Today there is an enormous amount of water that is actually wasted. And if you just take that one simple question that or one simple use case that I said, as to you taking a picture and playing around with it, imagine millions and millions of people actually using AI without really knowing why they are using it, what they are going to get out of it. And more than text, the minute you start playing with videos and photos, it's 10 times more expensive. Think, that's how AI usage is connected with water. Okay, I'm almost there. Give me just a couple of minutes. Okay, I put a very simple call to action for all of you as to what you can do when you go back on Monday morning. I'll read it out for you in case it's a little bit small. Please do announce an AI strategy. Don't form a committee. That's a non-starter. I talked about appointing an AI dean. Please do that. Mandate AI literacy. There are people who needs 3-minute overview, a 30-minute overview, a 60-minute overview, a 2-hour overview, probably a 20 hours overview, or even more. Think about at least opening one industry lab, not one AI lab. The common mistake is we have a mobile lab, and what are you doing with it? We have, I don't know, a digital engineering lab, or we have this lab, that lab. But partner with an industry and say, I will cover your value chain, which will also include AI. But by the way, that lab will run within our organization, and it will train, and it will make people ready for you when they come out. And last but not the least, publish your commitment. This is my closing thought. What will humans do in 2047 if all these things are taken over? This is the part that I could possibly think about standing 21 years away. The earlier version of the same slide that I actually have put up, which has evoked quite a bit of laughter and smile, is a robo standing right next to a washing machine. And the tagline that I had put was, better ask AI to do your clothes, laundry, and dishes, and you focus on art and creating or creativity related work. Else, if you ask AI to be creative, you will end up doing only nothing but your laundry and your dishes. That somebody found it good, somebody said, no, I don't agree with it. I said that will happen. You will not have anything else to do, means what will your wife or somebody else ask you to do? Go and wash the dishes. Go and dry the clothes. Today AI can actually load all your, have you seen that video? It can actually load all your clothes inside the washing machine. It can run the cycle. It can set it, program it exactly. It doesn't know to fold everything correctly. Maybe sari and all that, it doesn't know to fold. But it can actually do a fairly good job of actually folding it when it comes out. So if you ask it to do that kind of work, it relieves so much amount of time for you when you go back from college. So you can focus on creative work. That is what humans are very good at. But if you say you leave the creativity work to AI, because it can actually give a lot of creative answer, when you go home, what will be waiting for you? One load of clothes to be washed, or one load of clothes to be brought from the terrace and folded. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sri Ramana Narsimhan Garu, for excellent and enlightening presentation. Really, you have added a value to this conference session. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time and your contribution to this conference. I would like to invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor G. N. Srinivas Garu, onto the dais. I request the conference conveners, please join to felicitate the speaker. Please give him a big round of applause. Thank you, Vice Chancellor, sir. Thank you all, as we are running late of time and we regret for delaying for lunch. I request all the delegates and faculty members, students, please join for the lunch and come back within half an hour. By 3:30, we'll start the next session. Thank you.
తిరుమల తిరుపతిలో ఆ బంగారు కోవెలలో వెలిసెనులే ఆ గగనాన గుడి గంటల రవణులలో. తిరుమల తిరుపతిలో ఆ బంగారు కోవెలలో ఆకాశరాజుకు అల్లుడవయ్యి పద్మావతికి ప్రియనాదుడవై శిలగా వెలిసావా మా దేవుడవైనవా. తిరుమల తిరుపతిలో ఆ బంగారు కోవెలలో అలివేలు మంగను అక్కడ ఉంచి శ్రీదేవిని నీ గుండెలో దాచి శిలగా వెలిసావా మా దేవుడవైనవా. ఆదిశేషుడే ఏడు కొండలై శేష శిఖరమే వైకుంఠముగా శిలగా వెలిసావా మా దేవుడవైనవా. తిరుమల తిరుపతిలో ఆ బంగారు కోవెలలో పారేటి పాపనాశనం నీ ఉండే పుణ్యక్షేత్రం ఎత్తైన కొండలపైన వెలసున్న శ్రీ వెంకటేశ. తిరుమల తిరుపతిలో ఆ బంగారు కోవెలలో శిలగా వెలిసావా మా దేవుడవైనవా.
for that, we need to ask series of questions. What kind of institutions we want to build? And what kind of teachers and students we need to drive the mission Vikasit Bharat 2047. And related to this, what kind of system of education we are looking at? And all such questions are mostly related to certain other meta questions, very broad questions related to why do we need schools and colleges and universities? Because we need to reflect. Much more philosophical questions these are. These are not ordinary questions, but very fundamental questions regarding what is the purpose of schooling, what is the purpose of education, what is the purpose of university education, what is our vision of education. I'm asking a series of questions, and these questions themselves are very meaningful questions. We need to search for answers to these questions. And in that process, these questions and searching for answers may drive us towards moving towards realizing the dream. Friends, any kind of dream, when we are thinking about, it's not a technical dream. We are not thinking about what kind of, how AI is going to become in 2047. Not that kind of dream I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming a society where all of us live together with harmony, peace, and equality. That is the dream which I am thinking about. Friends, when we think about an institution like university, what is its role in realizing this dream? I have been questioning myself when I have agreed to, share my ideas with you today. Friends, university, by and large, this is a problem. With this kind of narrow-mindedness, it is very difficult to realize our dream. Hence, we need to expand our understanding of knowledge. That's very important for any university. Friends, certain knowledges we have deliberately excluded from the university. There's a lot of politics which happens. We are comfortable in the university, but because of that, we don't want to invite other aspects of knowledge. It takes a lot of time to struggle. You all know that our universities, by and large, are modeled upon the European and Western intellectual ideas. The first 7 universities in modern India were established borrowing ideas from the European thought. By and large, the Descartesian Cartesian philosophy has structured our university departments and university spaces. And in various forms, friends, European, whatever you think about in our universities, by and large, they're all regulated by the Western categories and concepts. This is a major issue which we need to decolonize our mind. So friends, what we do in the university, what we practice in the university, how we treat our students, how we treat our subject knowledge, these are all, we are engaging with colonial mind that need to be critically interrogated. Every category which we think about, we talk about not just knowledge, but personality, for example. Any kind of idea you take in your disciplinary discourse, by and large, all these aspects, we need to be very critical. In other words, Eurocentric ideologies which have encroached into our institutional practices and disciplinary structures. For a long time, we never entertained students from other disciplines to take admission into our own discipline. Students who do economics, MA economics, they are not eligible to do PhD in other subjects, and vice versa. We have very clearly defined, demarcated the boundaries. Very rigid boundaries we have drawn. We never cross our boundaries because we don't want to be uncomfortable. We are in our comfort zone. This need to be disturbed. National education policy has done some kind of effort in this regard to make curriculum flexible. But till now, many universities are not following the same. There is a lot of violence we do in our institutions, friends. This you may or may not agree. And the violence in the sense, the medium of instruction itself. We have borrowed English to engage. But our context, culture, ethos, whatnot, everything is in our own vernacular, our own mother tongue. But we have English as the dominant mode of engagement. To tell you honestly, English has killed our imagination. We had wonderful languages, starting with Sanskrit, our own native languages. Unfortunately, they do not have that respectable position in our universities, higher education. Some languages have disappeared and some languages are disappearing. Still, English dominates. And doing English in universities is a kind of violence. I never understand my student in English. It's not possible. The subtle feelings, the existential experiences of the student, I cannot digest in a foreign language. and how malls are arranged, organized, how, the market tries to conquer our vision, taste, our listening. All our sensory organs it conquers. It generates a different kind of vision. Even in children it does in a different way. Long ago I have seen Kindle Joy, very small Kindle Joy for children in the market. Children want to break it and they want to see what is inside. The desire, it generates, the market generates. And it doesn't stop there. And market, after having many experiences, they have introduced Kindle Joy for girls separate and boys separate. They are doing a lot of research on how to get, the space for market. Unfortunately, we are not able to understand what is happening, the kind of conspiracy which is happening outside. No one is safe. We all know that entire social space has become so vulgar today. This is very painful to all of us. We need to do something. Otherwise, how can we realize our dream of Vikasit Bharat? That's a very, very, very important point. Friends, the complexities of the market, we need to unfold. We need to understand. That's a very, very utmost important today. Friends, its market has entered into system of education in many ways. Today, in our universities, we give importance to outcome-based education. Outcomes are important, not the inputs, not the processes, only outcomes. We are not questioning this because UGC, as a regulatory body, it imposes on us. But we never question it. This is the tragedy because we have that colonial mindset. We go with measurement. We go with so-called standardization procedures. This entire set of ideology of performance, how an institution should perform, how a student should perform, teacher should perform. This kind of ideology is it is destroying our institutions. We all know that API score itself, how it has damaged the original creative thinking of our teachers. The genesis of new ideas, there is no place for it today. Because we are borrowing. Even today it is happening. NARF ranking, universities are after that. Series of programs the regulatory bodies conduct. But no one asks why this kind of standardization. A university which is located in a remote area, which has got organic connections with its own context, how it should be assessed? What kind of parameters we need to? We have to create a different kind of space. We should not go with the language of neoliberal knowledge economy. That is very dangerous, not good for our people. We have been experiencing how the family structure, the ethos of the Indian institutions have been eroding day by day, disappearing. How we are becoming as an individual, not a social human being, how we are becoming individual and hyper individual. To think about Vikasit Bharat 2047, I strongly believe that somewhere something is wrong. We need to rethink seriously and deconstruct all colonial mindset and the dominant ideologies which have entered into our blood and consciousness. That is a very important point. We have witnessed of late the generation G, and I don't know how do you distinguish the generations. I don't see any kind of meaning, but it has become a dominant idea today. Everyone talks about generation G and how it is different from other generations. I still find divinity in my young students. I don't see that kind of idea, but the social media, the day by day technology, we understood little about technology. Many corporate companies which govern these technologies, which generate the technologies, have been collecting lot of data. And how to manage the data, how to bring structures out of the data, and a new discipline, data science, has emerged, which we all know. And this data science, from data science, lot of intelligent disciplines are emerging, like AI and so many different forms of artificial intelligence. And every moment, what we think, if I go to a shop, what kind of dress I want to shop, buy, immediately that enters into the system. If I go to a restaurant, again technology records what kind of stuff I am eating. Data, every moment of mine, my behavior, my thinking, my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings, all are entering in and getting translated into data. This kind of surveillance mechanisms which are emerging today, on the basis of that, some companies are making a lot of profit and we are not safe. I don't know how to counter this. This is coming in a dominant way, entering into every walk of our life. Friends, if we don't give critical literacy, critical thinking, reflective thinking, the seeds of this thinking, if we cannot, inculcate in students, then there will be a deprivation, a capability. We need to go beyond this so-called rationalities and that's transcendent into a different kind of mode of experience, which mostly the wise saints talk about. A different kind of experience, divine experience. That's very important to think about education. Because education establishes a divine connection with students. That is important. On that foundations, that kind of engagement is required to realize the dream. Friends, I will stop it here. I don't take much of your time. But let us do some serious thinking about the ethical and moral foundations of education. That's a very, very important to realize the dream. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
So please. Mic at.
Thank you very much. And this talk was really concise and excellent. But I have some objections, so the question also. Now, in your talk, you have mentioned that inputs are not important. So are the processes. Even processes are not important. Outcomes are important. That was statement. And I'm student of sociology, and I'm teaching sociology for the last 30 years. And throughout my life, I was teaching McIver and Page, so the Talcott Parsons also. And always I am teaching to my students that it is not the end or the goal which is important. Processes are more important, and even source is also important. So there should be synchronization among all three. So I know for sure that your knowledge is deeper, mine is superficial. So if you can elaborate on this, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah, Madam, there may be some communication gap between what I said and what has gone. What I was saying is the dominant framework of accreditation bodies, for example, like NAC, they focus mostly on the output. And in most of the classrooms, the way we conduct our evaluation processes, the examination is also output. What students write at the end of that 3 hours or 2 hours, that determines his fate. So in this context, what I'm saying is inputs are important. Processes are important, not just outputs. So these are the aspects which I am talking about. An institution standing for its own philosophy, what philosophy it stands for is important. That positioning is important. It is all inputs. Am I intelligible to you? I don't know. I didn't say that inputs and processes are not important. They are important. I was emphasizing that part of it.
Anyhow, thank you.
Maybe I could not articulate it properly. That's why.
Maybe I could not understand it. Actually, this was
for example, when you look at student, the way you look at student, which we call gaze, you look at student from a different perspective. You look at student from a assessment perspective, evaluation perspective. But student existential perspective, living experiences of the students, when he's undergoing some kind of learning experience, experiential learning, when you involve student, how do you capture that? You need a different kind of observation. When you always go with assessment mode of thinking, evaluate mode of thinking, you may not capture the living realities of the student, experiential accounts of the students. It's not possible. So you need a different kind of way of looking at. Your engagement should be different. A different philosophy, alternative philosophy beneath, which J.D. Krishnamurti, Sri Aurobindo, they talk about much. So from that perspective, what I said, one can make meaning out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very thought-provoking ideas that you have tried your best to give us, sir, on this occasion. On behalf of Palamuru University, I really convey my best regards for your time and valuable ideas. Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to the dais. I request Madhusudan Reddy, sir, please come to the dais to felicitate our. I have called him. Sir, may I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, for 1 minute, sir, to felicitate.
In a short while, we will have a valedictory session. I request all the guests, delegates, students, faculty members, please switch off your mobile phones to silent mode or to the flight mode. Shortly, we are expecting the distinguished